At face value. Rather than background checks to keep the guns out of the hands of criminals and the mentally ill, it's really just a step toward rounding up all your guns. Is that kind of talk fair or helpful?
Well, I think you have to look at the NRA like you look at some of the other, interest groups like NARAL, the National Abortion Rights. They are the keepers of the flame. They are the ones that we depend upon to make sure that that particular right, whatever it is protected to the maximum amount. It doesn't matter. Doesn't mean you have to agree with everything they stand for, but that's their job. I think what Senator Coburn was saying is probably where most people like me stand. If I want to sell my gun and somebody says, well, you need to go to a gun store and do a transfer, well, I could live with that. That's not going to change my life particularly. But what I don't like is the fact that what we know is that any time the government gets a piece of information on you, it's there forever and it's there for everybody.
The NRA is continuing its PR campaign. They just released a new ad. Let me play it for you.
Some of the proposals, gun trafficking, and the one that I've been pushing, which is universal registration. Universal registration.
So when gun owners hear universal background checks, we know it means
universal registration.
So, Jason, is Rich right about that? Is this just one step on a slippery slope?
Well, I'm glad that Republicans in Washington have finally found a loophole that they're willing to close. But Rich is wrong. If he sells his car privately to another citizen, they have to transfer title.
There's no constitutional right to own a car. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
There's no... I appreciate your input, Rich. But this was a good... But if you're going to track gun sales at gun stores, why not track them in private sales? This is just paranoid hypotheticals being pushed by the NRA. They're talking slippery slopes when Democrats are talking about reality. Let's deal with what's really going on. We don't know who is selling guns in this country, and it's impossible to track. That's dangerous.
Rich, can there be compromise? And if so, where?
Well, I'm not, there may well be, and they're working, the Senate's working hard at it, and I'm perfectly willing to see what comes out the other end, to see whether or not I support it. Nobody cares whether I support it or not. But
there does seem to be, you've seen the polls as I have, Rich, there has been a change since Newtown.
Well, there is a change.
And people are definitely more open to these ideas.
The idea, no, that's right. The background checks, I think, are something. I mean, if you're going to run a gun show, I don't have any problem with requiring somebody to throw in 5 or 6 computer terminals and say you got to run people through that. I think that's okay. I don't think anybody really has a gigantic problem with that. But what I am concerned about are things like the government somehow or another, at some point, if you want to own a gun, that you have to ultimately undergo a psychiatric examination. I know that Jason doesn't think this is going to happen.
No one's talking about that.
But I'm telling you, we have been here before.
No, I've never even heard that suggested, Rich.
I know.
We have never been there before, Rich.
I know. But that's where the government likes to take these things.
Well, after the
No, they don't.
Yeah, they do.
Let's talk about what actually has been proposed as opposed to hypotheticals. And there were a lot of calls, Jason, for a ban on assault weapons, a ban on high-capacity magazine. But honestly, on both sides of the aisle, there doesn't seem to be a lot of stomach for that. Why?
I'm real concerned about two things here, and I think we're seeing an example of the divorce between the political classes and the American people. And the American people don't even get their government on Wednesdays and alternate weekends. The one thing I'm worried about here is that this bill is going to go before the Judiciary Committee, which gives Ted Cruz another opportunity to embarrass Texas. The second thing is we're probably not going to get an up or down vote on assault weapons ban. I'm in Texas. Even here, being a liberal means you only own one gun. But a majority of Texans, according to a recent poll, support banning assault rifles. This is a clear issue for American people.
What poll is that?
The public policy poll.
Oh, a public policy
poll.
So
you going to tell me it's skewed?
Answer yes.
You are going to tell me it's skewed. That worked out great last time for you, Rich.
What does that have to do with anything?
Rich Galen, Jason Stanford.
For 10 years, I'm telling you. Yeah, right, okay.
To be continued. Thank you, gentlemen. Checking the news feed this morning. For the second time in less than a week, a major blizzard